the UK.
And there it goes. From a distance of 1,200 miles away, it took a little bit less than half a second. If you pan out, Stephen, I'll show people how the web pages work. You can see that there's some highlighted sections. These are hyperlinked. Now, these hyperlinks can go to other documents on Cityscape's web pages, or it can go to documents on other servers held by other providers anywhere in the world.
Really?
It's incredibly flexible. This is why it's called surfing. You start in and you dive in, and you don't know where you're going to wind up. Let's just go to the other servers and services. I've clicked on that.
And the little hand pointer comes up when you move over the blue text?
That's right.
Okay, so that's calling that one up.
And it can take a variable amount of time.
Well, if it's going all around the world, then I'm not surprised.
Well, indeed.
We can see some activity there with the little lizard.
Sure. There you go. We've got it. Here's a menu. Now, if you look here, there's a little icon. There we go. It's arrived. Because it's highly graphical, it depends on the quickness of your connection to the internet. If you've got a relatively slow connection, can't use that one.
It's being used by somebody.
You'll find sometimes that things on the World Wide Web don't work. And the reason is it's growing so darn fast that you can't predict where someone is going to move their resources next. It's all because the internet is not organized. There's no one running the show, so to speak.
Just at the bottom of the screen, while that's loading, we can see some information down there as well.
Right. That's the exact location of this page. Here's a newsletter that's published on the internet, and it can be updated instantaneously without having to send copy to the printers or have to give things over to the post office and go through the usual distribution channels. Now, if you look up at the top, Stephen, you see some icons. We can back up from where we were, go back right to the beginning so that we can retrace our steps. And, of course, this little picture of a home takes you to our home page. That's the page that is set up as the entry point to surfing with the web.
And it's keeping a history of all the pages you look at.
Absolutely. You can go up here and go to a hot list, which are the things that you've enjoyed in the past, as well as the history, which are the things that we've looked at since we started the session.
And are these pages actually stored on your machine now, or are you just getting access to them temporarily?
You can store them on your machine so that you can display them locally. Say there's an awful lot of text or something
or you
in
might
there.
Want to print it later.
You print it later, absolutely. So you can do all of that from this web browser. Now, what some people are doing is taking and using this as a template. Here, I'm going to connect to another internet provider in Britain. And have a look at their home page.
So the home page is like a table of contents or starting point?
It's a starting point. And you can see here's some icons that are being downloaded. And if you look down, they're all there. We're waiting for these ones to come along. Here's a way where you can buy books. On the internet.
So you can buy products?
You can buy products now, Stephen, but they may arrive before the last graphics arrive, depending on the amount of bandwidth in your connection.
Is that another reason for a quick PC?
Absolutely. But it's the speed of your modem and your connection and the quality of your internet service provider's connection that really is determinant. There's all kinds of things on World Wide Web pages. There's graphics, there's sound, there's audio, and they tend to be really big files. You got to have a fast connection to have an interactive use of it. There's even forms on web pages. You fill out the form, include your credit card number,
there's always a catch.
and that book or record or piece of software can arrive in the post.
Is it safe?
You have to watch security on the internet. in theory, anyone can hear anyone else's communications on the net, so you have to watch out. Some new software is coming that'll make it a lot safer to use your credit card numbers on the internet.
Great. Okay, well, I've just had my first surf on the internet, and I'm still quite dry, so why don't we move on to the next chapter and have a look at some more software? Okay, well, let's look at some of the other icons we have here, Paul.
Well, let's get it started again.
And really, we saw with the World Wide Web there that you can access information from almost anybody, really, can't you?
Well, the internet is global, and there are people adding World Wide Web servers to the internet at about 100 servers a day.
Could people at home pop up their own information?
Internet service providers are letting their users get web space, but lots of businesses are doing their own web pages.
Right.
They're the ones that are driving the growth of the internet, turning it into a much richer environment, but it's a commercial one. This is a big change for lots of folks on the internet.
Right.
Let's go back to the application and take a look at Ping.
Good old double click.
Right. Ping is an application that lets you make sure that another host on the internet is alive.
Right.
It's something that you absolutely need from time to time because the internet is not 100% reliable.
Sure.
So we've looked at Ping there. That's all it ever does. Here's a really interesting program, though. FTP.
Right.
That stands for File Transfer Protocol. Now, I grew up with a Unix system, and I'm used to doing this through the command line, but you don't have to anymore. You can just get a dialog box from Windows and fill in the blanks. Now, the username is anonymous.
Right.
A lot of systems on the internet are ready to take anybody who comes along. They've been put there to share information. And so now we're connecting to an FTP server that will have some files for us. Now it wants a password, but it really just wants to know who I am.
Okay, you sure about that?
All I'm doing is putting in my email address so that they'll have a record of who's visited the site.
Okay.
Now pretty soon we're going to see a directory of files that are available to us on this FTP server that's maintained by Cityscape. Well, there they are. We can go to any of these various directories, and it's just, even though it's a Unix machine, we can go to a directory for, say, Mac software, for instance. And the Windows interface takes care of all of the Unix commands necessary. So here we are, waiting for the information to come down the line. So there we go. Here's subdirectories. Let's look in World Wide Web.
It's a bit like a file manager utility, isn't it?
It runs just like File Manager.
Yep.
And once we get to the directory we're interested in, we can look and see how big that file is. Well, that's over a quarter of a megabyte there. So I'm not going to propose that we transfer that file while we're on the air. Matter of fact, I'm going to close down that information box and go up one level in the directories.
Yep.
And what we can do then is find a smaller file and actually view that file.
Yep.
A lot of the files that you'll find on the internet are just text files, and your PC already has what would be called a viewer for a text file, Windows Notepad. Other files on the internet need special viewers, like GIF viewers or JPEG viewers for still pictures, or perhaps viewers for audio files, which is a strange concept to view an audio file. And I'd rather hear them, actually.
But it's a way of previewing the information before you load it.
Before you, well, you do have to bring it down in order to, now let's just get an information on it. Well, that's not a very big file there. Let's go ahead and view that file. Well, there we go. This happens on the internet. It's real, just to prove that this is a live internet connection.
So sometimes you won't get the view of it.
So, yeah, sometimes you have to do things repeatedly. Sometimes they don't work one day and they will the next.
It's just to show people that this is a real demonstration.
And it's a real FTP server. This is where you would go to get some of that free software that we talked about. Heaven knows there's games in there. There's some material from the Channel 4 special that was recently shown. Demo versions, documentations, even Lovelink has some files on this server. You can upload files to FTP servers as well. If you've got some software that's free from copyright, we don't want any software piracy, you can send it to this server. After they inspect it, they'll make it available to other users.
Okay. Good.
So that's FTP, Stephen. A very useful utility on the internet. We've got a few more here. Archie and Gopher are finding utilities.
Okay. Finding what information?
Finding information on the web. And as you can see, there isn't a lot of mystical Unix incantations, even though what you're doing is talking to a Unix host.
Sure.
If I click on the Net Manage Gopher, this is actually a system that is in the United States in Cupertino, California. And by clicking on an entry, I'm attempting to contact that host.
Right. There's another way of accessing the information.
And it can take a while depending on the traffic. You'll find out that the best place and the best time of day to contact people in America on the internet is while they're asleep.
Yes.
That way they aren't using the servers themselves.
Don't expect an immediate response, though.
Indeed. Well, I'm going to come out of Gopher and show you a feature that is in this version of the software. It's called the Instant Internet. Now, they're adding additional providers every day. These are North American service providers. For instance, you can get onto the IBM Internet access just by clicking on the sign-up box, and it gives you a form to fill in. Now, you can fill in your credit card information with complete security because this is a special connection, not an internet connection. Once this goes back to the sign-up server, you can then connect to the IBM Internet connection automatically. That's one of the things that you don't get if you roll your own internet connection.
Okay.
Finger, another internet utility, allows you to see what different users are doing. Now there's Bernard at Cityscape, and see if we can get some information about Bernard. There we go. There's the last time he read his mail was on that date.
Oh, really? Tells you all of that?
Yes, right. So you can see whether Bernard has been on the internet, and it's kind of an indication if perhaps he's read his mail. If you've sent him an urgent message, then that would give an indication that at least he's been on the internet, but you can't really tell if he's read the mail.
Right.
So to really surf on the internet, you need all of these applications, including Telnet, which allows you to access a distant computer, and of course a mail client. But if you can drive a word processor, you can write an email message. So you address it, you type in your message, and through the miracle of the internet, it will send the message. You can maintain an address box. It's a very simple program, just like electronic mail on Windows for Workgroups.
Is it just text you're sending, or can you combine richer information?
Well, you can attach things to it, too. You pick a file and attach it. It can be a spreadsheet. It can be a formatted desktop publishing document. It can be a sound clip.
So you've got a whole variety of ways of interacting with it.
Absolutely.
Okay. We won't send the mail message because we don't have anybody in our address book, do we?
No, no. So there's a quick walk around with a concentration on FTP. Lots of things in here to explore, and that's really part of the internet ethos. Everyone goes surfing, everyone goes and they discover something new. We didn't have a chance to talk about news at all. That's where a lot of the action is on the internet.
Yep. Okay. And make sure that the software you buy has all the services and the utilities you think you're going to need.
Well, absolutely. Or get some free software and find somebody who can give you a lot of help.
Great. Thanks for that. And it did go very well, even though it was live, didn't it? We'll see you in the next chapter. Well, a lot of what we've done so far has been in the Windows environment. Is that what people need to use the internet?
Well, if you're going to be an internet consumer, Windows is fine, Macs are fine, Amigas are fine. Almost anything is fine if you're a consumer.
Yep.
But if you want to put your business on the internet, it's a whole different game altogether. The internet is mostly composed of Unix systems, and so to put your business on the internet, probably you need to look at a Unix server. Although internet publishing materials and connection materials are available on almost every platform. We've asked someone from the Santa Cruz operation to come along to talk about their product called Global Access. Global Access is a way to put businesses on the internet.
Should we have a look at that now?
Yep, please.
Okay.
SCO's Global Access is a enhanced feature supplement that sits on top of any of our standard products. It brings together a number of key components or tools that you need to access the internet and maximize the use you have there.
What's in Global Access that's of benefit to businesses, Paul?
Well, it's the whole panoply of internet and web tools. SCO's not unique. You can get packages from Sun, from IBM, from HP, but SCO has a unique bundle. I'll let David explain it.
Global Access consists of a number of components, the main one being the Mosaic internet browser, which allows you graphical access to World Wide Web homepages to peruse information. There's a news reader, a mail creation tool, and some other utilities that you need to actually read the information that was provided on the World Wide Web, like a ghost viewer for PostScript files. Some people are publishing their information in PostScript files.
Now, Unix isn't the only environment for servers. Do we have any other choices?
Well, Windows NT has got connections to the net now, and virtually any other major computer operating system. But Unix seems to be the historical choice of the internet. Let David explain that.
Okay.
We believe Unix is the prime vehicle for connecting to the internet. This is very easy to classify as it's time-proven, tested, multitasking, all the characteristics that people are now defining that their server operating systems need to meet to be the ideal internet provider. Unix has been providing these features historically since the late 70s, and we now have a mature operating environment that is robust, offers a level of security that is becoming crucial to the internet.
Yes, dependability and reliability are obviously key issues for businesses.
Well, and security as well. You don't want your business hacked into. You don't want to lose your data. David's talking about security now.
Okay.
A prime consideration when organisations connect to the internet is the level of security they need to provide. They may be working on sensitive data and don't want to readily allow access to anybody accessing the internet. So they want to build what's commonly known as a firewall. This is a level of security that can be integrated into an internet or anybody's local area network that provides a sentry post to information coming into the organisation and information leaving the information. So we can basically use something that's classed as IP filtering to only allow known and trusted environments to actually gain access to the resources within your organisation.
Putting your business on the internet requires a lot of careful thought and planning. There's some hazards that you absolutely don't want to expose yourself to. Fortunately, for users, it's not quite so bad.
Sure. And if you do think you'd like to put your business on the internet and consider all the ways of doing it, Softvision has just released a dedicated video on that particular topic, so that's out now. You might like to have a look at it. And we'll go into the next chapter and have a look at the downside of the internet.
How people need to protect themselves when they surf on the internet.
Well, we've looked at some of the juicier things you can do on the internet, but we should be balanced, shouldn't we, and look at some of the downsides.
That's right. If you're going to be using the internet and transferring files back to your own computer using FTP,
Yep.
Sometimes there can be unwelcome guests attached to those files. Viruses are a problem on the internet. We've got a virus expert with us, and we'll let him explain what you need to look out for.
Right.
The internet and all online services do provide a potential risk. The more serious online services like CompuServe are very careful when they allow people to put software on there for download, and a lot of responsibility is put onto the people who are leaving files on places like CompuServe to ensure that there isn't a virus contained in those files. With something like the internet, which tends to be rather unregulated, there is a risk that viruses can be floating around and people can download files that have viruses in them and then propagate them within their organization, yes.
Just how serious is the threat of viruses? Is it hype or is there actually something in it?
Well, I've been on the internet for years. I must have downloaded thousands of files. I've never had a problem, but I always run virus filtering software. So it only takes one to ruin your day, so be careful.
And also be careful if you're sending out files to people also.
Well, that would be a kind and courteous thing to do. Practice safe computing.
Right. Okay, they're the downsides. The next topic, we're looking at the upsides, aren't we?
There's a lot of them.
See you there. Well, we've seen a lot of interesting things in this video, Paul, but there still seems to be something of a technical hurdle that needs to be gotten over.
Well,
is it always going to be like that?
No. The internet is very slowly being changed so that merely mortal people can use it.
Like me.
Right. You don't have to have an engineering degree anymore to connect to the internet. You do still need some persistence and a lot of help.
We can throw away those white lab coats now.
Indeed. The situation we're in right now, though, is the internet is promising so much that it is actually worth the effort to get connected from a personal enjoyment and from a business perspective.
Yep.
Let's just ask Richard how he thinks the internet will affect our lives.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes. In so many areas of our lives, the sort of communications revolution is going to affect us, whether it's working or playing or educating. There are so many things that we do now electronically, and we can use the internet to do it remotely as well. So we can cut down on a lot of travelling and a lot of commuting and things like that, and it will help us out immensely.
Well, it's clear that the internet is going to touch our lives in a whole variety of ways.
Well, cyber surfing for individuals is optional now. Do it if it's fun. Do it if it fits in with your work. But for businesses, they're going to have to get connected to the internet very soon, or they'll start missing opportunities.
Do you think the same could be said of the home user as well? Do you think that they're going to miss out on something in the next year or so?
Well, it'll be a little bit longer period for them. Right now, it's fun if you like computers, if you've got a computer.
Yep.
But very soon, education, arriving at your child's classroom by the net or arriving at the home will be important. Home shopping will certainly save a lot of hassle at the stores.
I'm looking forward to taking the knife to that frog, actually. That's the sort of person I am, Paul.
Indeed.
But I guess the internet is such a vast community, and there's so much information floating around that you can't possibly show it all in one video, can you?
No, and there's no other way to get a handle on the internet other than to get connected.
So what we'll try and do is bring you out more videos focusing on different elements of the internet to, I guess, help people make the most of it and to help them navigate their way around it. It must be a nightmare finding things.
It's a whole subject area on its own.
Right, well, hopefully we'll have you back in the near future to do that. But I must say it was very cool in the end, and I just put my shades on. Did enjoy that, actually. It was very good. So thanks very much for coming along, Paul, today.
Sure.
And I'd like to thank all of the viewers for watching. I hope you found that useful. Please keep your feedback coming in. You've seen our email addresses, so there's no excuse now, is there? We'll see you very soon.
Bye.
That was good. I think we've got